everyone, welcome back to my vlog. I'm Robin, or Hobbit's Reading List. This is the last week of October, which means that we're really gonna try to finish the 3 books that are on my TBR that I realistically can finish this week. So that's gonna be our focus, and then we're gonna slide right into November and holiday season. So let's get started. So if you watched last week's vlog, I sort of explained how my to-do list / how I decide how many chapters I'm going to read in a reading session if I'm not just reading all day. The reason I bring that up is because I landed on read yesterday, which is a Monday, and so I asked Siri to once again pick how many chapters I'm going to read in that reading session. Guess what she picked? I don't remember the number at this point. It may have been 14, it may have been 19. It was one of them. But either way, it would have had me finishing the book. And so for the 3rd day in a row, she told me to just finish the dang thing. I didn't. I am officially at a point where I have less than 100 pages left in the novel. I think I have 6 chapters left. So what I was doing, because the chapters are anywhere between 10 to 20 pages long, which doesn't sound like that much. And for how fast I usually read, it's not. But something about House of Seven Gables, the language and exposition is very exhausting. There's not enough dialogue to really keep me interested. I'm getting a lot of descriptions and a lot of history about this family. And it's not nearly as spooky as I thought it was going to be. I even Googled, is House of Seven Gables about a haunted house? And it said yes. And besides it feeling depressing, I don't see how the house itself is haunted. I haven't seen anything. So between the house being depressing and then the curse that is on the family, I guess that's enough, but there's nothing else happening. So it's a little bit of a slog. I'm not anticipating this getting a high rating, but at this point I'm determined to finish it. So yeah, that's kind of where I spent. So what I did yesterday, for every chapter that I read, I watched either a YouTube video, as long as it was less than 15 minutes, or I watched a chapter of a YouTube video, depending on how long it was. So if the video was broken into chapters, that was really helpful. But otherwise I had to sort of just guess, roughly about 15 minutes of YouTube, and then I would go back to a chapter and I would just alternate. And I did that most of the day. I did that for about 3 hours in the afternoon. And then I drove to Chicago for a book club meeting, and I drove back, and then I did that for another, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half. But by then I was pretty much falling asleep. But I do have less than 100 pages. So while I don't think I will finish it today, because I have a very busy day at work, I am hoping that by the end of the month, so by the end of Thursday, I will have it done. We'll see. Since I did drive to Chicago last night, I listened to more of Rebecca. This also is not necessarily a haunting, in a ghost sense. I would say that the main character, whose first name we don't know, which is a whole thing. The main character, Mrs. De Winter, she is haunted by Rebecca, but not in the paranormal sense, just the memory of Rebecca, who's Mrs. De Winter's husband's first wife, who had died literally a year before they got married. So not very long. But the circumstances around Rebecca's death are a little hazy. She drowned in the sea, but I think there's more to it. but people can't help but compare Mrs. De Winter to Rebecca. She's comparing herself to Rebecca. Like, the ghost of Rebecca is very present, but it's all up here. It's not paranormal. So it's really interesting. I think I don't know how I feel about it, because like there's that, which like I was expecting more like ghostly things. But there's also like the relationship between Mrs. De Winter and her husband Maxim. It's like, it's said straight up that like he just can't be alone in the house, and that's part of the reason that he married her, because they had sort of like a, I don't even say a whirlwind romance, but like they had a very sudden sort of engagement and wedding and stuff like that. And she, the main character, Mrs. De Winter, just reads so much as like an abuse victim. Like, her people pleasing is out of, like, just incredibly present. She's constantly like looking at Maxim to like judge his reaction, and then like judge her, like change her reaction. He does have a temper, but he hasn't done anything. Like, he's raised his voice, but he hasn't been physical in any way. But she has a lot of like anxiety about upsetting him. Like, it's it's really very abusive. And so that's a little uncomfortable. And I also feel bad for her, because she's like, I think 21 maybe is how old she might be, but Maxim is like 43. So she's not prepared for this marriage in a lot of ways. It should not have happened. But yeah, I feel really bad for the main character. But I am about, I think I'm almost 50% through. So I will listen to more tomorrow on my way to work, but I'm, for the most part, planning on listening to it while I clean the house on Thursday. So I will hopefully finish it, because I think I should only have like 4 hours left. But that is the plan. And yeah, that's what I've read. So I'm gonna get ready for work, and we'll see how much more of The House of Seven Gables I read. Oh, I did start reading Thank You, Jeeves. I only read a couple pages. It's funny so far. Hello, everyone. So if you watched last week's vlog, I mentioned that there are certain books on Storygraph, or certain things on Storygraph that count as books, and I would be using that to catch up on my reading goal. So one of those things is a short story by, I believe it's Charles Chestnutt. It's called The Sheriff's Children, and it's, according to Storygraph, it's about 48 pages, which, like, depending on the book, I guess, sure. The copy that I read was maybe like 8 by 11 pages. It wasn't like super long. But I did read that last night, and because it's on Storygraph as its own thing, counts. So now I'm only 2 books behind. So The Sheriff's Children is a story. This is for one of my classes, by the way. A class I'm taking is about ways that people have used words, essentially, whether it's speeches or essays or stories or songs or poetry, what have you, to protest. And right now we are learning and reading about the anti-lynching movement, which is very important. And the story, The Sheriff's Children, is about a sheriff who goes to protect someone who has been accused of murder, and there is a mob coming to lynch him. And the sheriff goes to try to prevent that from happening, because the sheriff has a very strong, like, moral code and sees it as his duty to make sure that the man goes to court and is tried. Throughout it, he also recognizes that, like, the trial probably isn't going to be fair, just because of where it is, when it is. And I don't want to spoil anything, but he learns more about this man, and so it's sort of conflicting. He's sort of conflicted, but he wants to still do his duty, but he also wants to give this man a fair, like, as fair trial as he can get. So, yeah, I'm not going to spoil anything. Honestly, I thought it was really, really interesting. So, I did enjoy it. I thought it was very well done. It was, honestly, I am still sort of thinking about it. I rated it shortly after I finished it, but I gave it 4 stars. I felt like some of the logic was a little interesting, but otherwise, I did enjoy it. So if you ever run across the Sheriff's Children in the wild, like, check it out. I thought it was pretty good. But that's really all I read. I had a very busy work day yesterday, and I'm trying to get, like, ahead of things a little bit. So after I finished work, instead of trying to read The House of Seven Gables, I started reading Homework, which is where I read The Sheriff's Children, because that assignment is due Friday, but I took Friday off, so I have a 3-day weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I'm going to use that to sort of, like, clean the house, or do, like, a autumn reset, I guess, and then, like, redecorate the house, take down most of the Halloween, except for the Halloween tree that we have up, which will be the Nightmare Before Christmas tree, and then put up Hanukkah and Christmas decorations. So that's what I'm planning to do this weekend. So I'm trying to get ahead so I can just, like, focus on that and, like, just very much, like, relax. Yeah, so today probably will not involve reading either. I'm still using my spinning wheel, but if it lands on only a few categories, like read, homework, and work things, like, then I'll do that. If it lands on anything else, I'm just, like, re-spinning it, because I'm like, no, I need to get those things done, because it's a 3-day weekend and I want to chill. So yeah, that's what's going on. I will listen to more of Rebecca, though, so I will probably check in tomorrow and tell you how much I listened to, and I am planning on finishing Rebecca tomorrow, because I will be listening to it while I clean. So that's the plan, and I will talk to you tomorrow, probably. Good morning. Okay, it's November 1st. I did not read a physical book yesterday, just to be straight up, but I did continue listening to Rebecca. I have about an hour and a half-ish left, I think. It's interesting. I was surprised. I was surprised by information. I don't know how else to say it. It's a spoiler. And I'm surprised because Rebecca was published in, like, I think, like, 1938, I think. And while I kind of knew what it was about, I knew it was about, well, I thought it was about a literal haunting, but it's about, being haunted by this new husband's deceased wife. Again, I thought it was literal. It's not. But I didn't know much more than that, and so I got the twist very genuinely. I was like, I was cleaning, and I had my AirPods in, knockoff AirPods, and it was revealed, and I just stopped. I'm like, and then I was like, oh, it makes so much more sense. So I'm very interested to finish it, because where I left off, I'm kind of like, what's gonna happen? So I will finish that today. I'd finished cleaning. I cleaned the entire downstairs yesterday, in between, like, personal training and, like, then, like, handing out candy for the trick-or-treaters and stuff like that. But I need to do our bedroom, our bathroom, and then the office. I'm gonna save the guest room because it's full of presents for people. So the guest room is sort of just my holding space, and once I wrap presents, I can actually clean it. So that's my plan, and while I'm doing that, I will listen to the book. And then I'm going to take down Halloween and start putting up Hanukkah and Christmas. Because yes, I'm one of those people. I do that on November 1st. I took today off work to do this, which my boss found hilarious. I had an extra day. Why not use it for this? So yes, but Chris is also off work today and tomorrow, so I'm gonna rope him into helping me, so maybe it'll go a little bit faster. And then we'll probably like maybe go out for dinner or something. That's the plan. I am hoping to like have some time to read, because I don't want to do what I did in October and not like finish a book until like the 10th. So I have 6 chapters of the House of Seven Gables, so I would like to get that done this weekend as well. I know I'm not going to finish Thank You, Jeeves this weekend, but by next weekend I'll be done. So what I'm going to do to give myself more motivation, I'm just going to keep stacking motivation, is I'm going to figure out what book I'm going to listen to after Rebecca. And depending on how long it takes me to like clean and do all that stuff, and if Chris is like actively helping me, because like if he's with me, he will want to talk, so I won't listen to the audiobook. But if he's like in a different area of the house helping, then I can still listen. So maybe I'll start another audiobook today. Maybe, we'll see. All right, as a plan, I'm gonna eat. I've been super ADHD distraction. I've been watching the Dustin Pointer, the red flag, green flag guy, on Instagram for the last hour and a half. So I'm actually gonna eat now and be productive. Good morning, everyone. So I didn't film last night, although I probably should have, because I finished The House of Seven Gables. I was really hoping I would like it more. House of Seven Gables is about a family who is apparently cursed because their ancestor led the charge on someone during the Salem witch trials, which resulted in that person being killed, and this ancestor thus got the land that person owned. And so the curse was because they got the land through these like nefarious means, and it's the House of Seven Gables. And so the family is sort of reckoning with this like curse that they apparently have, and their own, you know, dreams and desires, and they're dealing with family members who are, you know, trying to find this like deed to land in Maine. There's a lot going on, but it doesn't feel like it, because it's all just buried in exposition and detail of, you know, the house and everything about these side characters' lives. And I honestly, like, I just stopped caring. Like, I'm like, I'm not getting it, like, this is the most boring book. Like, most of the time, if a book is rated low for me, which this is, it's because it pissed me off. This is just boring. And Bastion's on the tree, so I'm sorry if you noticed that jump. So, yeah, I didn't like it. From what I remember of The Scarlet Letter, who was written by the same author, The Scarlet Letter was way better, but I haven't read it in like probably over 15 years. So I was talking with a friend and I was like, yeah, we should probably like reread it and see if it's actually as good as it holds up, or if we're just remembering like the general like messaging instead of the actual book. So I gave The House of the Seven Gables 2 stars because everything I just said, but also because it took me 2.5 weeks to read a book that was less than 300 pages. So I guess in that way it did piss me off. But yeah, that's done. I won't be getting rid of it. Usually if a book is that low, I like donate it or sell it, or I don't keep it. However, that book I got when I went to the literal House of the Seven Gables, not this past summer, but last summer. And so I don't want to get rid of it, but I will not be reading it again. So there's that. I will be finishing Rebecca today. I feel like I've said this before. Probably Friday. I have an hour and a half left because, so here's the thing. Because I spoke on Friday and I'm like, all right, I'm going to finish Rebecca. I went upstairs to start cleaning and I was listening to it, and I listened to like maybe like 20-30 minutes, and then Chris came up and started helping me clean, and so I felt like it would have been rude to continue listening to an audiobook when we could be like chatting and he was helping me. So I didn't listen to anymore, but we did get the cleaning done. We got all the holiday decorations up. Not that you can really see them. I think you see there you go. So we had both Christmas and Hanukkah, and so we had a very productive weekend. But I did not finish Rebecca, so I will finish it today on my drive to work. And then I just need to finish reading Thank You, Jeeves, and then I'll be done with my October TBR. So we are going over to a friend's house tonight, so I will be reading Thank You, Jeeves there. So we'll see how much I can get done. And yeah, that's the plan. So I will check in with you later after I finish listening to Rebecca. Alright, I'm ready to wrap this vlog up. I finished listening to Rebecca, as promised. I had never, like, heard much about Rebecca, so I didn't know what I was getting into. I actually, like, really enjoyed it. As I've mentioned in maybe earlier this week or maybe last week's vlog, I don't remember. But I was expecting it to be more of, like, a literal haunting, but the idea of, you know, the new Mrs. De Winter being haunted by just the memory of Rebecca was really, really interesting and something that I could understand more. The ending was very surprising. I want a sequel. I want to know what happened after that. But I think also that's kind of the point. Also, I do think I would have to sort of like re-listen or reread the first couple pages. I think it's a thing where like the beginning of the book takes place in the future and we're sort of like flashbacking. So I think that the beginning of the book talks about what happened after the end of the book. So maybe I'll reread those couple pages just to get some closure, because I'm like, what about this? What about this? What about this? But it's something that, like, when you're first starting a book, you don't recognize, like, how important that is, like, what you're reading is to, like, the end of the story, until, obviously, you get to the end. So, I did give it 4 stars. I really liked it. I was very surprised. I wasn't expecting to, because I had heard it presented as like a horror novel, which I could see, but I would almost say it's kind of more thriller, which is interesting. But I don't know, but I don't really read thrillers either, so maybe I just like upset like two whole groups of people. I don't know. Whoops. After that, I finished Rebecca on the way to work. So on the way home, I started listening to Proper Scoundrels by Allie Therin. I really like the beginning of it so far. I'm very intrigued. I'm excited that I will listen to more of it tonight because I have to go to Chicago. So yeah, no, I really liked it. It's a spin-off of one of Allie Therin's other series, which I added to my wish list because I was very intrigued by that as well. But it's called, the main series is called Magic in Manhattan. The spin-off series, I think it's like Roaring 20s Magic, maybe. But it follows these two guys. One of them is, oh crap, Wesley. Wesley Lord Fine, who doesn't know that magic is a thing. And so things are happening around him that are magical, and he's like, what's that? What's that? And he meets Sebastian de Leon, who, both of these characters have appeared in the Magic in Manhattan series, and apparently they were like favorites among the author and the fans, and so that's why she decided to write a spin-off series. But Sebastian had been controlled by blood magic, by this person called the Puppeteer. He's now free, and someone that he had a run-in with in Manhattan has asked him to look into these like mysterious murders that are maybe paranormal in nature. And he feels like he owes these people because of the things that he did while he was under blood magic. And so he's like, sure. But this involves maybe protecting Wesley. And where I'm at now, I don't think this is a spoiler because it's still like, I've only listened to like 3 chapters. Where I am now, Wesley also knows this mutual person, Jade, and she's going to introduce them, not knowing that Wesley heard Sebastian doing something while he was under blood magic. And apparently Wesley has a very good memory, so he recognizes the voice. And so they met, recognized that they're both attractive, and then Wesley tried to beat Sebastian up, and Sebastian left. So that's where I'm at. So I'm like, I want to listen to more. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I'm very excited. And I will probably finish that in next week's vlog just because of it's only like 9 hours long, and I am doing a lot of driving this next week. And other than that, so once I got home, I cooked dinner, and then I went to our friend's house to watch the football game. I didn't watch it. I was reading, and I read Thank You, Jeeves. So I read the first 3 chapters of Thank You, Jeeves. I need to like continue reading that. But pretty much so far, Birdie has picked up the banjole, which is like a cross between a banjo and a ukulele, which sounds awful. And everyone else agrees that it's awful. Like, he gets kicked out of his apartment because so many people complained about his playing. And so he decides he's going to go and lease a cabin in the country so that he can practice his banjole in peace. And that is too much for Jeeves. He's like, look, I've tolerated it until now, but if you're that determined, I have to quit. And so that's where I'm at. But of course it's Jeeves, so he gets swooped up by one of Birdie's friends. So they're in the same place roughly. So that's where I'm at. And yeah, so it's been kind of funny so far, but I did a surprising amount of reading yesterday for not doing much for like 3 days. So yay me. I just need to finish Thank You, Jeeves, and then I can properly start on my November TBR. Technically, I have started it with Proper Scoundrels, but I haven't obviously picked up a physical book for November. I'm a little concerned because so Proper Scoundrels is about 9-ish hours, and I was on 1.2 speed, so I'll finish it next week. And then the other audiobook that I have is One Night in Heartswood, and that's about 10 hours. So that's about another week. So we're thinking midway through November, and the only other audiobook I have on my November TBR is The Count of Monte Cristo. I really don't want to listen to that. It's not, I know at some point I will have to, and so I might as well. But I'm just worried about how much time it's going to take up, because I think, I'm not sure, but I want to say it's like 38 hours. I could be wrong, it could be more. That's essentially, it would take me a full month to listen to. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. We'll have to think about it when we get there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If, like, once I listen to these other 2 audiobooks, if I should just start The Count of Monte Cristo and just get it over with. We'll see. Maybe I'll DNF it. Maybe I won't like it. We'll see. So yeah, leave me a comment, like the video, subscribe, click the notification bell. I really appreciate all that. And yeah, next week will be the official start to my November TBR. So I'll talk to you then.